Striaght. I am your host, Eugene Glenn, as always. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the Eagles and the NFC East and what they can do better. What they can do better to make sure that they are staying in the thick of things in this race that is going to be a tight one. It's going to be a tight one, and divisional games are going to matter, and they've got to start doing that quickly. We're going to talk a little bit about college football and who I think is going to win the national championship and who I think is going to be there. Who's going to be that top four at the end and who's going to be there one, two, to contend for that national championship trophy. We might get into a little NBA maybe. Let's talk about the NFC East and the Philadelphia Eagles. And they started off on a roll 3-0. Then they have lost 4 out of their last 5, currently losing a 23-28 ball game to the New York Giants. A game that they really spotted New York 14 points early in the first quarter. Managed to tighten it up and get it to a 21-10 ball game at the half. And really the deciding factor here was some mistakes, coaching mistakes. And I think it's been said over and over again, it's very important to make the right decision. And we know kickers can't be relied on in certain situations. But my goodness, man, when you have an opportunity to get points on the board in a close divisional game, you have to take it. And those 2 misses in field goal range were the deciding factor in this football game. If they hit 2 field goals, now you're talking about a 29-28 ball game, and the Eagles are winning by 1. And they're not sitting at 0-3 in divisional wins on the year. Not good. You lose to the Redskins, Cowboys, and Giants. Granted, they're going to get to play them again. But 0-3 is not good when the rest of your division is 2-1 in the division. There's a few things that they can do better, not just in coaching. Someone's going to have to step up and be that guy that's going to be the consistent deep threat. At times, it looks like it could or would be Matthews. And then he is not and has not been consistent enough. And then at times, it looks like you may want to have Darrell Green Beckham as that guy. And he's not and has not been consistent since he's been here either to really take hold of the reins of that. Nelson Aguilar is a excellent slot receiver. But it looks like, Bryce Triggs? That guy got loose a few times in this game. And he could be that guy that, when the trade talks are going down, talking about a Torrey Smith type of guy, he could be that guy that can stretch the field. He had a couple big plays, a couple big shots down the field that Carson Wentz connected with him on. And he could be that guy that does change the onset, how this thing works as them stretching the field and being able to open up some things underneath for tight end Selleck, Ertz, being able to open things up for an Aguilar under the Darren Sproles stuff, the bubble screens and the screens out of the backfield, the using him in the short passing game as well. And developing some kind of consistency on the running game is another important thing. Smallwood has been a pretty decent guy that has come in and really at times has seen more action at key points in the game than Ryan Matthews has. It looks like Sproles is going to be that guy that's going to carry the load. And really, it just all stems on Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson has to put his young quarterback, in a better position. And granted, despite those positions he has been in, he's done a decent job. He threw 2 interceptions on Sunday. That's never good, but they kind of evened out because they got 2 turnovers from the Giants. So they were even in that department. And when you look at the stat reel, they really should have won that game. But it's going to come down to better coaching decisions. It's going to come down to somebody on that wide receiver core that's going to step up and be consistent, formidable threat uh, that can test defenses, that can press defenses, and open things up for other guys. Because we see that the Eagles have an opportunity and can move the ball around very well. And it's going to take some level of consistency now. You see the Cowboys, they've been very consistent on not just on offense, but on defense. The Giants really don't know what their identity is. And fortunate of circumstances, their circumstances, they are where they are in the division. And the Redskins, a team that they can go at you throwing the football, and they're comfortable with that. They can run the football as well, but they're comfortable with throwing the football around. Their defense is getting after quarterbacks, getting sacks. Guys like Murphy, you look at Kerrigan, um, they're getting to the quarterback and getting pressure on the quarterback, and that's what's going to take in the near future to test these defenses, to get them to back up, to get them to open up the underneath stuff so they can use the talents of Sproles, Algalore, to be able to move the football and be consistent, but got to make better decisions coaching wise, especially in tight football games. Now, looking at college football, something that, man, it's been quite the year. Um, Again, it's incredible to see Alabama uh, at 9-0 again. It's almost like the New England Patriots in the NFL, right? It's not a matter of if they're going to be there. It's almost cemented that it's them and everyone else. And I'd say a lot of credit goes to Nick Saban. I mean, they continue to get talent. It seems there'd be never a talent drop off. Um, and you would have thought it was this year. But I tell you, they, uh, I think, really have to give credit to Lane Kiffin. Jalen Hurns being a guy who is not just a guy who can throw the ball, but he does have that dual threat ability. And I don't think, me personally, I just didn't see Alabama being able to smoothly transition into using a guy as a dual threat quarterback. Most of their quarterbacks, you think of guys who are standing in the pocket, they throw from the pocket. Not saying that they're not immobile, but not as mobile as a Hurts. Um, and yet they have used his talents very well, along with guys like Damian Harris, and Scarborough. Um, they've run the ball exceptionally well on football teams and really pounded them into submission at times. Those things in any, whether it's college or NFL, when you can pound the football consistently, it really works to your favor. It keeps your defense fresh. Uh, they're second in stopping the run as a defense, allowing 13.2 yards. I mean 13.2 points per game. And when you're scoring about 36 per game, or 40 per game, that that's pretty much the telltale right there, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to beat any team if they're taking 40 from you and they're only allowing you to score 13. And they've done an excellent job up to this point, 9 games in, 6-0 in their conference. They've done an excellent job just continuing to keep the ball rolling. Michigan, they throttled my Maryland Terps. It was embarrassing. But they have been a formidable talent as well. A team that has taken on the attitude of their coach in Harbaugh. Really has taken on his attitude. I mean, you think that some teams, they have the tendency to play down to opponents, but man, divisional game, a conference game, a Big Ten conference game, and they just went out and just stuck foot all in Maryland's behind. And they have talent across the board as well. Uh, Smith has been a guy who's rushed the ball for 8 touchdowns, 5.2 yards a carry. They have Isaac there as well. And Wilton has been a decent quarterback. He's only thrown 3 interceptions, and that's key. And um, having success. They're number one in allowing points from the opponent at 10. So if anybody can have an opportunity to um, stick it to Alabama, they're definitely a team to look at. You look at Clemson; they're right back in there at number 3, 9-0 as well. I don't know if their division is as they play in a pretty tough division. I mean, everybody always has that thing about ACC and SEC, um, but they are a team that is reeling. And then last but not least, in that number 4 spot there, um, you have 4 formidable teams that honestly, at any rate, have an ability to uh, be able to win and be able to win a national championship. Uh, but at the end of the day, it's Washington is there, and at the end of the day, I really think this comes down to Alabama and Michigan. Uh, this could be an Alabama Michigan. I can 100% guarantee that Alabama will be there. Um, but this is an Alabama Michigan deal, uh, and then it's everybody else behind that. But I like Alabama's chances of getting there, getting the job done, and closing the deal. But Michigan does have a really good shot of sticking it to them. Again, they're number 1 in points allowed, and when you're only allowing 10 points per game,
Chinese
that is important in winning football games. Very important in winning football games. So it's going to be an interesting college matchup as we get down to the meat and potatoes of the season and start seeing where things are going to fall out up until the national championship game. And real quick, we'll talk some NBA. And I tell you, I'm really, really uh, excited about where the Los Angeles Lakers are right now. And I know a lot of people felt that this team would not be worth anything, but they have a very good talent pool. They made a good choice in a coach in Luke Walton, and it's really showing. If you look at the first couple of games of their schedule, would say that they would be 4-3 at this point and have beaten Golden State at home. You probably would take it, and then you'd probably say you're smoking crack. A lot of people didn't expect this team to be that well, and it's early in the season. I get that. But they're already playing better than they were last year. I think Mozgov is a formidable center, a guy who's helped them out a lot in the middle. Guys like Clarkson, you got Swaggy P is playing even better and seems to be very focused. A lot of guys stepping up, making plays for this team, and Luke Walton has done an excellent job so far getting this team together. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out around midseason when we start talking about the NBA, especially in January. It's going to be interesting to see where this team is and if they actually have a shot to actually make the playoffs. I think at this point, when you look at the way that they have been fighting in every game, they don't seem to get their heads down. They continue to scratch and claw, no matter whether it's a win or a loss. If they can continue to do that and bring that type of attitude and continue to build off of the success that they have had early this season, and I mean early, it's 82 games, but they definitely have an opportunity to make the playoffs, a team that many, many would have thought that they don't have a shot at even smelling a playoff berth. And they could very well be in the bottom, but they could get a shot to be able to get in the playoffs at one of those lower seeds. So we'll talk a little bit more NBA as the time gets closer to, getting into the thick of the NBA, as NFL is our dominant topic here on Straight Shooting Sports Talk. We'll talk a little bit about some of those hot topics, though, as we go on through the holidays and getting towards the end of this year. Well, again, we thank you so much for listening to this show. You can get at me on Twitter at NotBland21. And any questions, anything you want to talk shop about, we can talk shop about that there. And if you have any questions, we'll bring those up here on the show. If you don't do Twitter, we have the email address at straightshootingst@gmail.com. Straightshootingst, all one word, at gmail.com. And we will be sure to talk about whatever it is that you bring up via email, Twitter, on this show. Again, you can go to the iTunes store, type in Straight Shooting Sports Talk. You will see this show pop up, and you guessed it. Subscribe to the show. Tell others to subscribe to this show. It's about a 15, 16-minute, sometimes a little bit longer when I like to talk a lot, podcast that we try to bring to you every day, Monday through Friday. Just for your liking and listening whenever you have an opportunity to listen at your leisure. We thank you again, and we will get at you on Wednesday talking a little Thursday night football. Good night, y'all.
Yeah, crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does.